Hello, it's Debbie with Stitching. Today we're going to be making block 9 of SweetPea Santa's Workshop Tour. And on this block it has Santa's Nice List. So we start out automatically with our batting. We need to stitch that down into place. Doesn't matter what color thread we use at this point. Just wanted to throw in here before I forget again, thank you for joining me. We're going to go and trim this out now. Now we will stitch out the placement for the background, and that noise you hear is my coffee pot. Please ignore it. Now, if you heard the jingle bells, or you continue to hear the jingle bells going, that's my cat. She's in here, and I keep bells on their collars. Place down your fabric that's going to be the background. I chose something lively since the big center is white, and I figured it needed a little something going on. Let me let my cat out. You're just hearing all kinds of lively noises today. Now let's stitch this into place. This block is a nice quickie block. It only has 32 steps, and my machine says 27 minutes. Let's go trim this out. The next step will be to do the placement for our list paper. And the next step is to tack it down, and then we'll trim. I created this striped with sublimation. I just took a piece of white fabric and I made a bunch of blue lines on what was it, Publisher. I used Publisher, and then sent it to my sublimation printer. Gotta use it for something. And I thought it would be cute to have the lines on there, no matter how big the words might be. Okay, let's trim this out. You'll want to thread up the color you're going to use for the satin edge of your sheet of paper. And I'm playing thread chicken here. I've got in it, there's so much on a spool that, it's hard to judge it. I think it'll be enough. If it's not, that's on me. Well, my thread chicken is still paying off. I've still got plenty. I could do it 2 more times. Now I'm going to do the satin stitch detail on top, and I'm using the same color. I just want to show you this spool of thread I've got, and it just never runs out. And I keep kind of shoving it over top of itself. It helps to keep it from coming off the spool, because as it sits, it loosens. And I do put a net on it when I'm not using it. But yeah, this was the original Madeira thread. And I bought this is the poly neon. I purchased this in the early 2000s is all I can tell you. I purchased a bunch of them. Some of them are gone. And there's, of course, those that I used sparingly in designs that I still have. There's the orange that I used a great deal in the Halloween one is actually one of these spools, and I had barely used any of it. It might be here. I have these little trays that... So I guess I used about half or 2/3 maybe. But I did do all those Halloween, like the roof lines and all that. That was the color I used. They last forever. The next thing we'll do will be the holly leaves up in the corner of the list. Thread the color you're going to use for your holly leaves. Now you'll thread up the color you want to use for your berries. Now we're going to start working on some of the words. We're going to do Santa's first. Thread in the color you want to use for that. The next words will be nice list. Thread up the color you want to use for that. There's a star on the list, and I'm using gold for that. Now we'll do the swirls that are adjacent to the star. It's time to start our borders. We're going to start with the top one. Take your piece of fabric, lay it just past that seam line for the background. Center it on that block. Now we're going to stitch it down with a seam line. Now you want to make sure that your fabric is face down, the two right sides together, because this is going to be folded up. You want to make sure that your fabric is folded upward. You could either use a tiny little iron and kind of iron it in place, tape it down. I'm just going to hold it with a stick while it's sewing. Now we're going to do the seam line on the outside edges. From the top, we go to the bottom. We'll go to the bottom, then we'll do the left and then the right, all exactly the same. First, you do the understitch, fold it over, and do the overstitch. From this point on, I will be fast forwarding through the border. Now we'll do those corner details. Every block has had them so far. I'm using gold. Our next step is the placement for the feather. Now, I may have cut that part out because the thread kept breaking. I'm trying a new thread that I had picked up at Hobby Lobby, and I don't know if it's this particular spool because it does seem to be wound quite tight. I did just change my needle because sometimes it's your needle breaking the threads. It did break again after that, but then it finished sewing it. So I've done my placement for my feather. Now I'm going to put my fabric down. As you can see, there's a little bit of sparkle. That's why I wanted to test it, because I found this Sewology white sparkly, and I think what it is, because it's a thread with like a, it almost feels like a little, like mylar kind of a thing wrapped around it. And I think that's why it keeps breaking. That keeps getting bound up. I don't know, but I'm going to give it a shot for the tack down. Let's tack this down and then we'll trim it. Yeah, we're done with that thread. It might work great for someone else. For me, I am having a horrible time with it, so I'm just going to put that aside. It can be used in the sewing machine, but I'm not going to try using it in my embroidery machine. This is the same stuff as the silver, and the silver worked fine. We'll just put that over there so I won't try to use it again. And we'll get our regular white. Let's get this tack down done so we can get it trimmed. And now we can trim. I threaded up my reliable sparkly white, and now we're going to do there's some satin stitch sections on the inside of the feather. Next, it's going to do the edge of the feather, and I'm going to use the same color. Thread up the color that you want to use for the, yeah, my mind just went blank, the stem of the feather. Now it's going to be the ink bowl placement. I'm going to go ahead and leave that thread in. Now we'll do our tack down. And now we can trim. Thread up the color that you want to use for the satin edge on your bowl. Wait a minute. Now we're going to do a stitching of a highlight on the ink jar. I've put in a like a lilac, just a light purple. The last thing in the pattern to stitch is going to be it looks like a cording or something around the bottle of the ink well, and then it'll do a string bow, and I'm put in copper metallic thread for that. This design doesn't actually come with names written on the nice list. Those you can add. I imagine the names that are shown in the picture are probably, grandchildren or, children, special, someone special to them, and they used their names. What I did was I'm not going to say all, but in most embroidery machines, there are fonts. Now, I could have done this in a program and had it added into the design, but I didn't want to mess with their design. I'm trying to show you their actual design. So I didn't want to change anything by even adding the names. So I don't think I've ever used the fonts in this machine. I always do it on my computer. But today I added my grandson and my grandniece name to the list. This is the nice list. I'm considering adding my son's name, but with a gel pen and then putting a line through him, as a joke. I thought that'd be funny. They're in their 30s. They'll just laugh. They're not little kids. Obviously, I only have 2 sons and I have a grandson. But this is actually new to me too. And I've got it set up. And I went with the medium size. And this is to check where it's going to place. So the top edge is this is the center top point. So It looks like it's about in the center there, but it's a little high, I think. I think I'm going to move it down. Let's go over just a hair and down. It's just the tops of the letters, so that should work. And they normally when I do anything on this thing, you know, I have a lower end machine. I admit it. I like it because it's nice and simple, and my brain just doesn't work like it used to. I I'm content. How's that? I would like it to be bigger, you know, a bigger ability with the frame, but I rarely do anything big, so it doesn't matter. All the same, nice and simple machine, but it doesn't have a lot of fonts, so I've got the one almost swoopy font in there. And, ooh, I forgot to change the thread. I was so excited about doing these. I do not want them in copper, so let's change that out. I'm going to do them in a royal blue, I guess that is. It literally just says blue. It came with the machine. I normally don't use the threads and stuff that come with the machine. I don't even use their seam rippers. When I give a machine away or sell it or whatever I happen to do to get rid of a machine, it usually has all that stuff still sitting in its package. But this time, I'll probably have this one until I die. I offered it up for sale. Was going to get myself a nicer, you know, a bigger, fancier one. She didn't get back with me, and it might be just as well because I bought a new sewing machine. I'm going to sell my Foff instead. So you get to watch me. It either happens or it doesn't. Let's hope I don't mess this up. So it did stop in between the names, and I had typed hers in first and then his, but then rotated them around. They're in alphabetical order, and he is my grandson. She's my grandniece, so you know, he would notice that. Believe me. But I did not know it would stop in between because it just put it in as the same color. So I learned something new today. Now it will do Jackson. Ooh, I really like that. I really do. I do have a few jumps in here. You can set, I don't know that every machine can be set up that way. Um, I'm supposed to be able to go into my machine and set it up to cut jumps. And I thought I had, but there might be a separate setting for the alphabets. I don't know. Like I said, this is the first time I've ever used the alphabets in my machine. Not a big deal. There's only a couple that didn't get covered up with a letter anyways. And like this one, if it would have jumped at the top of the C to the top of the Y, there wouldn't have been anything to trim. Anyways, so other than the nightmare with my thread, and I don't understand why all of a sudden today it decided it was just going to give me a... Look, there's bubble in that one. Why is there a bubble right? And I changed my needle. I did all the stuff you're supposed to do. I even stopped the camera and took the bobbin area apart and cleaned it out, which you really did need it. The fibers build up down in there. So I cleaned all that out and I thought, ooh, I bet that'll solve my problem. No, it did not. The thread still continuously broke. I had to keep stopping the camera and readjusting everything. So it was all in here. For some reason, it just kept breaking. And you can see the little knot I ended up with. That's not from the pattern. That's something going on with my... I think my machine wants to be taken in and be cleaned out real well. And that's going to have to wait until after the holidays. Thank you so much for joining me. I think it turned out great. And even though, you know, all the others I did light or bright colors, I decided I wanted to do this one in black and use a real bright background. And I'm hoping I can set it up so that this is like the center point of the block. Still more blocks to go. I have no idea. This is block 9. We have 12 blocks. So I've got 3 more to go. But we will find out, right? I will see you next week. Oh, and in case you did last to the end, yes, I am trying to get this done and in time so that I can get it out on the Friday before the next block comes out. I'm just trying to get them where it's closer to when the block is released, because I noticed when I was doing searches to see what other people were doing, I wasn't finding any blocks on this. So if I'm actually doing it to try to help people, then I probably should get it out a little faster. And I'm not doing a turkey this week, so though I had turkey for dinner tonight again. Bye bye. We'll see you the next time.